Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today is episode 10 and the season finale of Cryptid Convo. So that's exciting. Just ignore the fact that I'm sitting on my floor and stuff like that. Yeah, it's cold in my house right now, so I have a blanket. Anyway, we're gonna be talking about another very famous, very famous creature. Aliens. We're talking about aliens. So let's dive in. If it looks like I'm looking down a lot, that's where my script is. Yeah. Now aliens, very broad term. Very broad term. So I'm quickly going to talk about like the different types. This is kind of like the Fae episode almost, but like that had a lot more research. Aliens, the broad term, basically means any living creature that isn't from Earth. Even plants. But that's boring, so we're not going to be talking about that. First is the Greys, which are short, like 3 to 4 foot tall creatures that are gray skinned, hence the name. Just imagine like the face of a stereotypical look alien thing with the big eyes and like nose slit things, but like gray skin, you know? Not green. And then we have the tall whites, which just imagine any stereotypical white person. Tall, blonde hair, blue eyes. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And then the Flatwoods monster is a tall human creature with a flat head, hence the name. And then there's the reptilians. Scaly lizard people. I'm not going to be talking about the freaking conspiracy theories about the reptile people because that's not important. Now that that's covered, we don't need to talk about that anymore. Story time and background time. Mostly background time. We're getting sciencey here, people. So yeah, this episode's gonna have a lot more science stuff, seeing as the Pentagon literally put out, hey yo, UFOs exist by the way, aliens are real. Probably. If 2020 couldn't get any weirder, aliens, bro. There is a huge debate on which planets in our solar system could, like, harbor life. Exciting. Well, except for Earth. No duh. For a long time, there was obviously, like, the Mars theory, seeing as, like, the whole Martians, whatever. And then that water could have been there as, like, ice underneath the surface. So everyone's like, oh, yeah, people could live there. Water. Yeah, and then there's a big thing about Venus. Venus is a lot like Earth, like size and all that, which is why people thought that it was possible that life could live on Venus. But there's a little just a thing that's a lot different. It's like 200 degrees on Venus, seeing as it's a lot closer to the sun than Earth is, and its atmosphere is mostly carbon dioxide, which is poisonous to most, Earth-like creatures. So that wouldn't end that great. But I raised the question. Why must the creatures live there and need oxygen? See, if creatures evolved on another planet, just like they did on Earth, couldn't they have adapted to not need oxygen? Wouldn't have needed it in the first place. So maybe it's a mistake to look for stuff that's just like Earth. Don't get me wrong. Great first step. Perfect idea to look for stuff that's like us. But, like, it's also really limiting. You're only looking at things that are, like, really close to Earth. And that doesn't make sense. Back on track. Mini rant over. I'm gonna rant a lot today, just, like, that's how this today is gonna go. Long story short, scientists are looking for Earth. Scientists are looking for life on different planets. This is in no good order. In 2012, researchers found... I keep getting out of frame. I'm sorry. Researchers found that glycolidide... It's a sugar molecule. Was found in a solar system that was 400 light years away. So it's really freaking far. So no matter what... Oh, wait. I skipped a part. The sugar molecule there is needed to form RNA, which is similar to DNA, you know, the thing that starts all life. So no matter what, it's kind of undeniable that something something out there is close to life because it has RNA. And had we been able to search even more, I don't even know how we found it in the first place. We probably would have found DNA too. Just check a little closer next time. And the year before that, in 2011, components of RNA and DNA were found in some meteorites from space. Again, undeniable at that point that life does have to be somewhere. Because if there's DNA on the planet, on the meteorite, that means that there is life, or like the very basic building blocks of life. Sure, we don't know what it is. We don't know where it is, but we know it is. We know it's there. Okay, just another little quick rant. It's not gonna be quick. Our universe is massive. We can see 92 billion light years. Then it just goes blank. We can't see anymore. We don't have the technology, we don't have the ability, the power to see past that limit. But what if we, like, looked from somewhere else? Like, say a planet on the very brink of where we can see. What if we started looking out from there? Could you then see 92 billion more light years in that direction? Meaning that the universe is constantly expanding and bigger than we could have ever expected? Does it even have an end? That was really... Okay, wait, no, that's too deep for now. I don't like that. So yeah, the farther and farther out we go, we see more. The universe keeps getting bigger. And so that means it has to be bigger than 92 billion light years. And so then there is no possible way that we are the only living things out here. There's no possible way that we are the only living intelligent beings in our universe. Okay, and this whole thing, I'm gonna be scientific. I don't want to diss anyone's beliefs, but like in this, we're going science, bro. We were an accident. It was pure coincidence that life started here. An asteroid comes onto Earth, and life starts. And life starts. We adapt, evolve, all that good jazz. I hate myself. It's pure coincidence that life started. That's all I'm saying. And technically, doesn't that make us aliens? Penny for your thoughts. So how could it be possible that in all that space, we are the only accident? In all those 92 billion light years of space that we can see, there's bound to be another one. Which sounds really bad when I put it that way, that we're like accidents. But it matters when you're talking about aliens and extraterrestrial life, I promise. Back to aliens. When talking about aliens, nobody really cares about anything that isn't intelligent. So going back to the government saying that aliens are real, in May of this year, tapes of UFOs came out from the Pentagon, which is like the government thing. There are reports of 8 sightings between 2013 and 2019. And most of them were from military planes. And as much as I don't like the military and all that, it's a lot more reputable than a guy in Arizona saying like, hey, I saw some lights, whatever, you know? So the Pentagon decided that they were going to look into these more, which really, in the time frame between 2013 and 2020, you didn't have any time to check into that. I highly doubt it. So when they finally decide that they'll release even more information to us, I guess we'll be surprised. Or not. Or maybe they won't tell us anything. Okay, so I'm going to talk about abductions now. I'm sorry. One of the most famous abduction stories is Betty and Barney Hill in 1961, which really, like, kickstarted a lot of stuff. I can't speak English. This was the first abduction where the abductee, the person being abducted, described the Greys, which are those creatures that I talked about earlier, which the most common type of alien. A lot of people say that they saw them, and that they were the first people to explicitly identify an area that they were in space. It wasn't just like, I was in space, but where? So Betty and Barney were driving down the road when they saw a light, and then, which became like really common in a lot of abduction stories. You'll see they're like, oh, I saw a light. And then they blacked out. And then they're back on the road. And when they check the time, 2 hours had just passed like that, just like nothing. Which, how do you explain that? How does 2 hours just go by and you don't even realize it? Aliens. Aliens is how. So now you probably think, oh, abduction stories. This is recent times. It's not historical. It is. It goes back far. There's even some accounts of like Egyptians and that being like encountered by aliens, but I don't want to go that far back. There's a lot of that out in the internet. Okay. Where was I? Okay. In the 19th century, which is the 1800s, people say that they saw mysterious airships and tall, slender humanoids. You know, like every alien abduction story ever to exist. They were seen by Colonel H.G. Shaw. I really hope that's how you say that. Who said that they had tried to kidnap him and his friends, and they fought him off, you know, like tough men. Gross. And that was in 1897, so it was a long time ago. And then there was a big gap between then and the 1950s when there was a lot more abduction stories coming out. A lot of people were talking about it. And I'm fairly sure that's because people were scared that they were going to be taken to like an institution or something had they talked about it to people. Like, they probably believed that they were clinically insane. Especially back then. Okay, I don't want this video to be too long. And I'm running on a tight schedule today because I started recording at like 7:30. And I'm technically supposed to have it done already. But that concludes this episode of Cryptid Convo and this season. Oh. I honestly can't believe that I made it this far. I didn't think that I would actually stick to it. I thought it would be like 3 episodes and then I'd be like, oh, you know what, forget this. But I didn't. I stuck to it. Like a big brain good person. Ew. And I can't believe that I got this far, and I'm really happy that you guys decided to stick along too, to listen to my stupid rambles and rant about creatures that no one else understands. So anyway, make sure to comment, like, subscribe, do all those things that real YouTubers are supposed to say, and goodbye.